b. Very good. So we have limit as x approaches infinity, 1 minus e to the x over 1 plus 2e to the x. So when we plug it in, this is infinity and this is infinity. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yes, everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, so then limit as x approaches infinity. I factor out e to the x as we did at all times. So can anyone give us this and this?
It's going to be, the top one is going to be 1 over e to the x and minus 1.
Good.
Yep.
And the denominator?
Does anyone else want to try?
Okay,
No?
Josh, would you like to give it a shot?
We got 1 over e to the x plus 2.
Very good.
Yes.
And then what is the final answer?
-1/2.
Very good. As x approaches infinity, this approaches 0. This approaches 0. Everything that is left is just -1/2. And this is the time when I put the equal symbol. I put the equal symbol. I drop the limit operator because I applied this process to this function. When I apply the process to this function, I got -1/2. And I have to write y equals -1/2 horizontal asymptote at infinity. This is mandatory. Every time I determine the limit as x approaches infinity or negative infinity and I get a number, I have to write this sentence. They come together, or if you want, they go together. So I'm sorry, I already wrote something on the next page. Made the mark. Okay.
Can we do 11?
Okay, so let's see what does 11 where. I lost my page, here. Okay, 11. So show that the limit using the precise definition of the limit or epsilon delta. Very good. Okay, I managed to touch my camera here. So 6. So we have limit 1 minus 2x over 2. This equals -1 as x approaches 1. Okay. Where are you guys? I lost you again. Got it. Okay. So obviously I have to write the equivalency, double equivalency symbol. When I plug in 1, I get -2. Yes, that's correct. So for every epsilon, oh, that reminds me of something. Thank you for choosing this. Okay. So this was a homework on the precise definition, the epsilon delta definition. So several of you, although we know that epsilon has to be positive, we know that delta must be a positive number. How can I have an interval if the length of the interval is negative? Somehow you came up with delta being negative epsilon over 3. So that worries me because then I ask myself, did my students understand the concept? I mean, if you do not write this step, the absolute value of -3 is 3, and do not divide by 3, you get a delta negative. But how can I have a distance around 2 that is a negative number? Is it possible? I write here that delta is positive, but then I get a delta, which is a negative epsilon over 3, knowing that epsilon is positive, so I'm getting a negative delta. So please revisit the solutions and your work. And it was more than one person doing that. So it's not just writing something in the hope that, you have to think before you write, please. So for every epsilon positive, there exists a delta positive such that every time I pick who would like to continue this? Kush, what should I have here? Kush, are you with us?
Yes. It's gonna be 1 minus 3x over 2. Let me see my note.
Javon, will you tell us?
1 minus 3x.
In here?
X minus 1.
Thank you. And less than?
Delta.
Good. And this is? Leonardo, Leonardo, what will you write?
1 minus 3x over 2.
Very good. And then?
Less than epsilon.
Not ready.
Oh, minus 1.
No.
Plus 1.
Very good. Okay. Good. So that's our first step. 1 minus 3x divided by 2 plus 1 less than epsilon. Oops. Less than epsilon. Good. First step. Anyone? Trey, how do I continue? Trey, are you with us, please?
Would it be to separate the plus 1?
I don't have a formula for separating the plus 1.
Can we add plus 1?
How do I do that? Tell me what to write.
So it's not, you're gonna take LCM, like this is gonna be 2. 1 minus 1 times 1 minus 2.
Can anyone tell me what to write? Isaac. Lindsay. Anyone? Carson.
Can you multiply both sides by 2?
I cannot do that in an absolute value. Carson, are you with us?
It's gonna be 3 minus 3x over 2.
Say it again.
3 minus 3x over 2.
Would you take the absolute value of 1/2 and multiply it by the absolute value of 1 minus 3x?
I cannot do that, no. Oscar, what do you think?
It's gonna be 3x minus 3 over 2.
We have to find the least common denominator. We have to write 1 minus 3x plus 2 in absolute value, less than epsilon. Then we have to put it in descending order. Then we have to factor our -3 and put it as the absolute value of the top over the absolute value of the denominator. Then we have the absolute value of -3, the absolute value of x minus 1, the absolute value of 2 less than epsilon. This is 3 and this is 2, so the absolute value of x minus 1 with 3 and 2 less than epsilon. We multiply by 2/3 and we get x minus 1 less than 2 epsilon over 3. So this problem should take 2 minutes or a minute and a half. I'm really hoping. So step 2, show that delta equals 2 epsilon over 3 works by reversing the steps from above. For full credit, no step can be missing. The least common denominator, the factoring, the using of the properties of the absolute value. There is no property that says that the absolute value of a plus b equals the absolute value of a plus the absolute value of b. There are only 2 properties we can use. Okay, anything else we'd like to work on?
Number 8.
Number 8, 10, 9, 8. Yes, so this is exactly what we just did at the beginning. Mark had this question with a different function. You still want to do it. Okay, so how do we determine f prime of x?
You could pick one of the different questions.
You tell me which one, I'll write it. But if I write f prime of x, then you can only tell me one. If you want me to change into f prime of 11, then it's a different story. I will.
Can we just do f of x plus h minus f of x over h?
No, because I'm missing I'm missing an important part here.
The
Limit.
Yes, exactly. Limit as h approaches 0 from f of x plus h minus f of x divided by h. So then we have limit h approaches 0. Who would like to give us the function?
It's going to be square root of x plus h minus 2.
Great job. Minus the square root of x minus 2. Of course, it has to be 0 over 0, no question there. What do I do next?
It's time for the conjugate.
Very good, awesome. Lazy people do this. Sorry about that. And the conjugate is?
Same thing except for the plus sign. Yep.
Good. So limit as h approaches 0. I'm going to write the denominator. Can anyone give us the numerator? 10, would you like to give us the numerator?
Would it just be h over
The numerator.
denominator?
The numerator.
Yeah. Is the numerator just h?
The numerator. You have to multiply this piece by this piece. This by this.
So it would be x plus h minus 2 minus x plus 2?
Yes, that's correct. I thought you were going to say that, so that's why I put in parentheses. But you're correct. Yes, you don't need parentheses as long as you distribute. I completely agree. Excellent.
Okay, and then I was just skipping the step where you just
You're
combine, like,
right.
I just skip the h on
My apologies. You are correct. I just wanted to show all the work. I'm sorry. You're correct. I apologize with witnesses. That must count
You're
more.
good, no worries. I was just
That
waiting
must
till I do
count
wrong.
more. And we're waiting for you to play Paganini to us. Okay, any
I'll do
Paganini.
it someday.
Any Paganini.
Do you want Caprice number 24? I can start
That's the
working on
one.
it. Wonderful.
So now lazy people do this. Okay, I should not. It's not nice. But I want to show more. I would not do this on a test. I would write it one more time. But I don't want to waste time, and I want to go directly to do more problems. Okay, so then can anyone drop the limit operator? Notice I put the equal symbol so you know something follows. Now I would like to get the final answer. Anyone?
1 divided by square root of 11 minus 2 plus the square root of 11 minus 2.
So it's an apple plus
So
an
really-
apple. So an
So
apple.
really square root of 9 plus the square root of 9, which is 3, plus 3.
So
Is it 2 root
Yeah.
x minus 2?
excellent. Very good. And now, because we have f prime of x, which is 1 over 2 the square root of x minus 2, we can determine f prime of 11. Because the point is 11 comma 3, so we want to evaluate the slope at 11. the function that gives us the slope at 11. So can anyone now give us the answer for f prime of 11?
1/6.
Very good. So the next step would be y minus 3 equals 1 over 6 and x minus 11, and I will say etc. and you'll do that so we can move on. So you distribute and then solve for y. Is that okay with everyone? Yes, everyone?
Yeah, because you're just find
Yeah,
the
that's
slope
good.
at that point.
Okay, so we found the slope, just distribute 1/6 and then add 3 and solve for y. What are we choosing next? Any questions here, please? Any questions on this?
For number 5,
Yes.
A through F, would it be possible to just get the limits now and we can work towards the answers on our own time?
So let me look where is number 5 you said?
Yeah, number 5 on page 4.
Yes, which one do you want to work on? We may be able to finish.
Well, I was.
We did I think F in class.
Yeah, I believe so too.
And
Would it just be
D
possible
was
to get
done
the
in
answers
class.
to these so we can like just check our work?
Yeah,
whenever
which
we
one?
go through
Just
the
tell me
assignment?
which one and we'll do it. Which one?
I don't have a one in specific.
Okay, let's choose one.
C.
Okay, A, B, C. Yeah, we had that, I think, on a homework problem. Okay, so here for this problem, we have to fully simplify the function. So the function is 2 minus x over 2 minus x in absolute value. So can anyone tell us where is the starting point?
Two.
So the starting point is always the absolute value of 2 minus x. So what are the options for the absolute value of 2 minus x?
Would it be x minus 2 and
So 2 minus x if, and negative 2 minus x if. So the absolute value of x is x if x is positive. The absolute value of x is negative x if x is negative. But what do I have to write now?
It's going to be the greater than or equal to 0.
2 minus x greater than or equal to 0, or 2 minus x less than 0. So let's talk about this again. So any expression in absolute value simplifies into the expression if the expression is greater than or equal to 0, or the opposite of the expression if the expression is less than 0. So the point I'm making is that all these have to be the same. Same, 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 same. This is the only difference. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All these 5 quantities have to be identical. So then I continue with the absolute value of 2 minus x is 2 minus x if, and once I solve 2 minus x greater than or equal to 0, negative x greater than or equal to negative 2, and I divide less than or equal to 2. The other one is the opposite of 2 minus x. Let's leave it like that. I refuse to determine that, because whatever it's not here must be here. It must be the opposite for sure. If this is less than 2, this must be greater than 2. If this is greater than 2 or equal to 2, this must be less than 2. I never ever solve the second inequality. Once I have the first one, I know the second one. So now I go back to the function, which is 2 minus x over the absolute value of 2 minus x. So there must be two options because this one has two different options. So can anyone give us the first option?
Two minus x over absolute value of 2 minus x if it's less than or equal to 2.
I already simplified. This is gone. I don't want to hear this again. Okay? Because it's gone. I simplified it. It's either this or this. I'm not going back to the absolute value.
So it would be
Yes?
then 2 minus x over 2 minus x.
Indeed, which is
or
1.
X is less than or equal to 2.
I cannot write the equal symbol with 2. Why?
Because if 2 is in the thing, it's 0. Or
I cannot have 0 in the denominator. Here I simplify the absolute value, but here I simplify a fraction, and this is in the denominator. The denominator cannot be 0, so I have to write only less than 2. Can anyone give us the second option?
It would be -1
If
x is greater than 2.
That's it. Only now I am ready to determine the limit. So I will determine the limit as x approaches 2 from the left, and you'll tell me from what. I will determine the limit as x approaches 2 from the right, and you'll tell me from what, and then we'll draw a conclusion. So from the left, which function?